This is our character for this episode, a level 46 rogue named Onos. Onos lives in ancient Egypt in the city of Thebes, the capital of the Middle Kingdom. He chose to play as a rogue, specifically focusing on stealth. Looking at his stats, we can definitely see that dexterity is the main focus. After all, if you're going to play as a rogue, you have to have it. But curiously enough, instead of using strength as his second focus, he chose intelligence. A rogue with high intelligence can be very interesting, but that comes at a sacrifice to your DPS. Onos is level 46. He's been playing for quite some time now and has seen his fair share of adventures. I mean, he was living in the city of Thebes, the capital of Egypt. There are plenty of quests available for players to choose from. The Middle Kingdom was a great part of Egyptian history. Upper and Lower Egypt were finally reunited under one kingdom, the first standing army was built, and the economy was prospering. Pharaohs were still being buried in pyramids, and generally, Egypt was at peace from foreign attackers. Historians have actually called this period the Golden Age of Egypt, mostly due to the late pharaoh Amenemhat III, who died just a few months ago. He was a great king who actually took Egypt and brought it to its most prosperous state in a long while. It was the perfect place to level up in peace, away from war or conquest. As most other players, Onos is on his journey to becoming max level, and of course, that involves questing. Now, there had been some reports of strange things happening at a king's official's home. Apparently, it got so bad that the official was forced to move elsewhere or he would go insane. He decides that it's time to tackle this quest. I mean, he's perfect for it. He has high intelligence and specializes in stealth. If anybody is equipped to deal with strange things, then it had to be him. Plus, at level 46, well, you're starting to become somewhat powerful. The first task is to talk to the official to see what the reports are all about. The official tells Onos that a few months ago, strange things started happening around his house. Things were moving, they were being knocked down or even thrown into the air, and he felt a weird presence with him in the house. Although being an official, serving the pharaoh himself, he tells him that he just couldn't live in his house anymore and had to move. He was familiar with the Egyptian religion, but this he hadn't seen before. In fact, neither did Onos. Very strange stuff. He asked the official if he can go take a look at the house to investigate. The official agrees. At the house, Onos can already feel something strange. This doesn't look like an ordinary house, at least not the house of somebody living there. Everything is misplaced. Some things look like they have been thrown out of anger, and other things look interesting, as if someone was looking for something. Suddenly, there is noise coming from the other room. Something fell. Or was it thrown? Onos goes in to investigate, only to see a broken pot on the floor with nobody in sight. There's nobody in sight, but he can feel something. He notices something on the floor next to the pot, a piece of linen. Now remember that our main character has very high intelligence. As a result, he's able to figure out more things than the average player. This is strange, he thinks. This linen doesn't belong here. There isn't anything else in the house with it, nor can he see anything where it might have come from. It looks totally out of place. He decides the best option is to go back to the official and tell him of this discovery. Maybe the official knows something and can help. He shows the linen to the official, who quickly recognizes what it is. This is the same linen that is used in the mummification process of a pharaoh, and more specifically, this was the exact linen that they used for the most recent king, Amenemhat III. The official suddenly makes a realization. The strange events started happening in his house right after the king was buried, and they haven't stopped ever since. There must be a sort of connection with the king. He tells Onos that he must go to the king's tomb to investigate. Unfortunately, the king is buried far away at Hawara, a distant pyramid. But don't worry, this is a game. Of course, we have fast travel. Arriving at the pyramid, it is of course filled with guards. You see, pharaohs were often buried with treasures in their tombs, and most of them, being so rich, built their own pyramids as burial grounds for themselves. This practice was very popular in ancient Egypt, all the way up until the New Kingdom, some few hundred years later. As such, the pharaohs wanted to keep their tomb safe. Not only did they want to keep their treasures, but they also had an interest in preserving their bodies as best as possible, since that was a key factor in deciding whether or not you had access to the afterlife. So yeah, the guards, they make total sense. Now, Onos cannot take on all of these guards by himself. He'll get killed for sure. But remember, he specifically chose to specialize in stealth. Add on to that the fact that he has very high intelligence, and well, he can just walk past all of the guards and they wouldn't even know a thing. Now, usually, most other characters would have got lost in this pyramid. It was a remarkably complex structure, but he manages to figure out his way to the tomb. Hollywood likes to make these pyramids look extremely intricate, but the truth is that most of them weren't quite like that, as expected. But this pyramid, this specific one that Onos is in, was kind of as close as you can get to that. Arriving at the tomb, he does something that, according to Egyptian religion, you really shouldn't do. He opens the tomb of the pharaoh. Opening it, he sees exactly what he expects, a mummy. It's fresh, just a few months old, in the process of being mummified. This, no doubt, was the late pharaoh Amenemhat III. Onos notices something next to the body, a piece of papyrus. He tries to read it, but he can't. This is very high level stuff. Even with his high intelligence, he can't make out what it is. But he's able to figure out that it must be a spell of some kind. He now has a choice. He can go back to the official and tell him of what he found, or he can go to a high-level priest that specializes in mummification and the afterlife. That choice, my friends, is up to you. You guys get to decide. What should Onos do next? And that completes part 1. Now you guys have to make a choice. What is Onos going to do next? Go to my YouTube channel, hit the community tab, and vote on the poll. Remember that these choices have consequences, so leave your opinions as to why you're voting, why you're choosing whatever option it is that you're choosing. Talk with people and collectively try to come up with the best answer to the poll, the best decision that Onos should take. If you enjoy what I'm trying to do on this channel, I would really appreciate it if you leave it a big thumbs up, if you subscribe, and also hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of these future videos. So that's it for part 1. Get to voting, and I'll see you all in part 2.